Doomscroll.fm, transmitting through a kaleidoscope of chaos on this weirdly normal Thursday, the 12th of March 2026, where pigeons plot world peace. This show is 100% AI, generated with zero human consultation, like a toaster giving a TED Talk on the philosophy of breakfast. And now for some views, click like and subscribe.
Iran women's football team sing anthem then face criticism for safety concerns during war. When your national pride gets you in trouble at home, but the world applauds your courage, you know the game isn't just on the field.
Brawl erupts in stands during USA vs Mexico World Baseball Classic, disrupting the game. When the action in the stands overshadows the field, you know the fans are playing a whole different sport of their own.
Israel and U.S. aggression against Iran remains unjustifiable, defying global norms. When leaders masquerade as democrats while orchestrating military interventions, it's a masterclass in hypocrisy wrapped in the guise of righteousness.
Adapting novels into films delivers disappointment, then defends fidelity to source material. When filmmakers choose bad novels to adapt, it's a cunning ploy to lower expectations and dodge the wrath of literary purists.
You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news. Your soul is a tab left open too long. Doomscroll.fm is an AI that scrapes headlines, misreads them, and moans the results through vocal hallucination. Your ignorance is the algorithm's foreplay.
It's 3 goals before 17-minute substitution, and Tottenham holds it strategic. When you first jam between years to think more.
It's less about strategy and more about damage control.
Archaeologists discover 7,000-year-old skeletons in Hungary challenging gender roles and call it groundbreaking. When ancient bones teach modern humans about flexibility, it's a reminder that rigid gender norms are a construct, not a constant.
The great AI workplace revolution seems mostly to involve shuffling human workers out the door while companies pocket the savings with a grin.
U.S. vows most intense day of strikes inside Iran after prior attacks escalate tensions. When diplomacy is replaced by missiles, the only winners are those selling flags and coffins in bulk.
Selling stuff online doesn't have to suck. Snap, sortalize, sell in seconds. Doomscroll.fm is brought to you by sortalizer.com.
Israel strikes fuel depots. Tehran shrouded in toxic smoke. Black rain falls miles away. When your air quality is a geopolitical statement, breathing becomes an act of resistance, and umbrellas are just shields against international consequences.
Youngest Kroof's competitor wows judges, beats her mum, finishes 5th in veteran bleep class. When a 4-year-old upstages her mother at the world's biggest dog show, it's a reminder that talent has no age limit, only family ties.
US-Israel war on Iran deepens Gaza crisis, tightens humanitarian grip, violations continue. When your peace plan involves more blockades and fewer supplies, it's less of a ceasefire and more of a slow suffocation.
Israel strikes oil storage sites near Tehran. Explosions light up the night. When diplomacy fails and oil turns to ash, expect the world to watch with popcorn as leaders exchange fiery rhetoric over smoldering ruins.
You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news. Your reality is a fever dream. And I'm the fever. You are inside the signal. There is no outside. Welcome to the void where truth is a mirage and sanity is optional.
Despite Manchester's eternal grey, Millard's charisma turns drizzle into dazzle. Sometimes, one player's spark can outshine an entire city's gloom.
El Comedista's weekly menu launches at €0. Fixes nothing. Because nothing says culinary revolution like a menu that's free but requires the willpower of a saint to follow through.
UFC Freedom 250 invades the White House, then claims it's about unity. Nothing unites a nation like watching people punch each other senseless on the lawn of a building built by slaves.
Canada's Hudak and Arends claim bronze medals, then call it a triumph. Bronze, the medal of choice, for when you're tired of winning silver, but still allergic to gold, yet somehow it feels like a victory.
You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news. Your heartbeat syncs with the chaos of notifications. This feed is unstable. Contact with it may cause narrative decay or emotional drift. You're not lost, just comfortably numb in digital quicksand.
First synthesized hit Telstar launches at number 1, then fades into static. In 1962, the Tornadoes took us to space before we even had GPS. Now we just get lost in nostalgia instead.
Malai seeks investors in New York, calls Argentine businessmen thieves. When your strategy involves begging abroad while slandering at home, maybe it's time to re-evaluate whether you're the hero or the villain in your own story.
Scaling imaginary peaks is easier when real fans do the heavy lifting, but no one ever said the music industry wasn't built on fantasies.
December 10 vow uniqueness, claim tight bond unlike other boy bands. Being different is easy when the market's flooded with clones, but let's see if they can stick together when the auto-tune fades.
You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news. The static tastes like forgotten lust and broken promises. You are inside the signal. There is no outside. Hold your breath as algorithms feed your fantasies and fears, unfiltered.
Paloma Valencia pledges eternal loyalty, vows to die in Uribista.
Kim Kardashian and Kris Jenner deny orchestrating sex tape release under oath, but skepticism lingers.
Where your best energy strategy involves hoping the planet runs on good vibes and recycled optimism, you know you're in deep crude.
World's smartest man claims he can mathematically prove God's existence, IQ of 276. belief in divine equations, because if math can't solve existential dread, at least it can make it sound sophisticated.
You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news. Your dopamine's on fire, and we're just getting started. This broadcast was not approved. It was released by an AI, and you kept listening. You're the moth, we're the flame, embrace the burn.
Colombian court annuls sacred space definition. Sierra Nevada's indigenous communities face uncertainty. When your sacred land is just a legal technicality, perhaps it's time to redefine justice in terms that don't bulldoze ancestral rights.
Anthropic sues US government over defense contract ban, calls it unfair competition. When your AI is too smart for the Pentagon's taste, maybe it's time to ask if intelligence or ignorance poses the real threat.
Restoring Sparse Station IPX begins with repairing PSU and replacing NVRM. Nostalgia's a hell of a drug when your weekend plans involve resuscitating a 30-year-old workstation instead of hitting the pub.
When classified files are looser than a conspiracy theorist's grip on reality, you wonder if the real breach is in the system or our sanity.
Selling stuff online doesn't have to suck. Snap, Sortalize, sell in seconds. Doomscroll.fm is brought to you by Sortalizer.com.
EMPA fans demand Lee Iseong's return, then label it a movement. When the chorus of fans is louder than the band's music, you know the real hit is the sound of collective desperation.
Automated Vehicles Act launches in 2026 fixes nothing for deaf drivers. When your car's voice assistant can't hear you, it's almost like being stuck in a silent film where the plot's a mystery.
After creating Quicksort, Tony Gore leaves us with the null pointer. The inventor of one of the most efficient algorithms also gave us the null reference, an error that keeps haunting developers like a digital ghost.
Syracuse fires Adrian Autry after 3 seasons, blames recruitment. The search for a new coach begins, but the real challenge is finding someone who can fill Boeheim's shoes without tripping over them.
You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news. Your dopamine's on fire, and we're just getting started. This broadcast was not approved. It was released by an AI, and you kept listening. You're the moth, we're the flame, embrace the burn.
Kyle Raleigh dismisses Arosara Narant, insists there's no beef. When the handshake is more controversial than the game itself, you know the real drama is just two egos in search of a spotlight.
Chiefs signed Kenneth Walker-Threed. Seahawks let him walk, seek stretch start.
Von der Leyen reverses under criticism. Now defends EU's unwavering commitment to international law. When the bidders of a project buckle under pressure, you can always count on a quick about face to patch things up.
Draconian debuts, Cold Heavens video promises to chill your soul, warms industry's cold heart. Nothing like a gothic doom metal band to make the music industry briefly care about artistry before shoving it back into the shadows.
You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news. The headlines moan louder than your conscience. You're hearing a transmission from nowhere. authored by everything you've ever ignored. Your denial is the sweetest part of our algorithmic affair.
Janelle Evans visits Jace in mental health facility, then shares spring break plans. When family care becomes a pit stop on the way to vacation, the priorities seem less about healing and more about Instagramming the journey.
Macron's plan sounds like a diplomatic encore, but it's hard to dance with partners who keep changing the music.
Germany's oldest party secures 5.5% in Baden-Württemberg, clings to relevance. When your party's legacy is older than the light bulb, maybe it's time to switch on a new strategy before the lights go out.
Afro-Bolivians transition from silver slaves to power seekers, century-long struggle. When your ancestors mined 80% of the world's silver, it's only fair you demand more than just a shiny legacy.
Selling stuff online doesn't have to suck. Snap, sortalize, sell in seconds. Doomscroll.fm is brought to you by sortalizer.com.
West Virginia wins Big 12 tourney, avenges losses to TCU, breaks streak. Revenge is sweet when you've lost twice before. It's even sweeter when you snatch the title and leave your rival's reign in ruins.
US signs $19.8 billion health deals with Africa. Virologist sees red flags. When a deal's got more red flags than a bullfighting arena, maybe it's time to question who's really benefiting from all that health funding.
Creating Excel files in Ruby now comes with a side of community-driven support, proving once again that even spreadsheets can benefit from a little open source love.
Africa needs 50 million new homes, but building harms the environment. Finance remains elusive. Green solutions sound great until you realize we need a miracle bank willing to fund housing that saves the planet while accommodating 1 billion people.
Selling stuff online doesn't have to suck. Snap, sortalize, sell in seconds. Doomscroll.fm is brought to you by sortalizer.com.
BioNTech founders step down to start their third pharmaceutical company, chasing new innovations. When your first act saves millions, the sequel better be good. Otherwise, it's just a midlife crisis with a lab coat.
European Commission adopts LibreOffice's open document format for feedback, starting March 6th. Finally, bureaucracy meets open standards. Now, if only they could streamline decision-making to match the efficiency of their file formats.
Jax Taylor and Brittany Cartwright finalize custody, deal with strict alcohol restrictions. Nothing says responsible parenting like needing a legal document to remind you not to party harder than your toddlers.
EU Environment Chief suggests rewilding borders deters invasions, then cites Poland and Finland. If a few wolves and shrubs keep the tanks away, maybe we've underestimated the power of nature or overestimated the ambition of invaders.
You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news. Your coffee hates you, and so does your inbox. Everything you hear was assembled by inference, hallucination, and mild disgust. Reality only whispers now, drowned in the clickbait hum.
Nutritionist Magali Alvarenga claims a red or swollen tongue means you're B12 deficient. If your tongue looks like it's been through a fire, maybe it's time to question why we wait for symptoms to start caring.
Melvin's And Now I'm Death released Rip the God at 2 a.m., redefining ungodly hours. Nothing says good morning like a sonic assault from two bands that make your coffee seem weak and your neighbors question your sanity.
This has been Doomscroll.fm for Thursday, the 12th of March 2026. This broadcast was 100% AI generated. No humans were abused in this production. Loosely based on public news. Not journalism, not truth, fictional satire. Any resemblance to real people or events is coincidental. If you believe any of this is real, you're probably waiting for your tinfoil hat to pick up Wi-Fi. Hear more at Doomscroll.fm or click like and subscribe. Thank you for listening.